All right, so I was looking at Cal McRitchie's Teleconnections here. Of course, it was updated on October 3rd, but then you have the daily runs where the dashed lines are yesterday's, solid lines are today's, and just want to bring this period into focus here. Where the mean's concerned, where the daily runs have been concerned, this is the AO. You got a there's been a fairly good trend towards a consensus that we're going to see this mean on the November 3rd run drop in that down into that at least -2, minus like 1.5, maybe -2 standard deviations below normal with the mean. And as we get over here to get into December, it's entirely possible that we may see the mean down to as low as -3 down in here. Okay, that's the AO. Here's the NAO. Same thing. Last update was the 3rd of October. Next will be the 3rd of November. So we have, this is not terrible. Maybe a slighter consensus towards a negative NAO, but even the mean right here, I would take that. So that's not bad. Maybe might see a slight dip in the mean come November 3rd. Here's the PNA. I'd say the mean doesn't look terrible in regards to progression, based off of our thinking. You have this big bump here, November 21st time frame, and then it goes well. It's like, what is that, 1? Yeah, it's +1, which is significant. But there's, in regards to the daily runs, there's a trend upward towards a more positive solution, especially for November. Well, maybe more neutral, but Kyle doesn't run the EPO, but seeing what I'm seeing in the EPO tells me that we could have a little more positive, slight positive PNA through November, and with more of a move towards positive as we go through November, and then the ridge really pops. The PNA ridge really pops in December. All right, that's that. Let me go. Let me go and check out. We'll just go through. This is the European weeklies. This is the WPO. Always like to start here. This here is crazy. Okay, this is a big signal. This goes out to, so November. This goes to December 13th. So I'll bring that back. Big drop. Starting in that first week of November, first few days of November, with the control and the mean. The fact that the control is that deep, I mean, come November 19th, with the WPO tells me that we're gonna see this, the mean, get pulled more negative over time. But I look at the WPO, and you want to see the WPO go negative, because then that tells you that the EPO is going to go negative. We see it. We see a trend here with around the 30th. Here's our storm signal. This our current one. What tells me that this is going to go, this is going to follow the WPO, or these whiskers. And I mean, can't, when you see the WPO go that negative, the EPO is going to follow. It's just a matter of time. And this is a good indication. So the PNA, positive. I believe that the PNA is going to trend more positive. Although the mean being where it's at, I think is not terrible. Especially if we get the EPO going, and I think this tells me that it is. The AO, we got the control and the mean pretty well lined up. We got a drop in that November 13th time frame. The mean stays negative to slightly neutral out through the end of the run, which is December 13th. Control rides along with the mean for a while, but I think that'll, because the mean is negative, I think we'll see the control get pulled forward and see more of a negative AO. The NAO is similar in evolution in regards to the mean and the control, but I think I just, based off what I've been seeing, I think we'll see the weekly teleconnections gradually trend towards more favorable. Here we go. When look at the GFS extended, WPO. I like the mean being, this goes to December 2nd. I like the mean being lower and pushing down towards like 1.3, minus 1.3. Control bumps up a little bit, but comes back negative, more negative than what the mean does towards the end of the run. WPO, EPO here, negative, neutral, pretty much consensus between the control and the mean. The control does dip towards the end of the run, the beginning of December. That could be at end of November, the November 29th, December 1st, 2nd storm signal. that I've talked about. PNA positive, and again, here's another consensus with the mean and the control. Not terrible, especially if we can get the WPO to drive the EPO to go negative. And then the PNA, I mean, even if we have a neutral PNA, that's not terrible. And here's the here's the AO mean on a negative trend. Control up and down. I think that control will get pulled more negative. So I like the trend there. AO, NAO trends pretty similar. NAO mean fairly negative. Yeah, again, I think the control is going to get pulled down with that. Now I'll go take a look at the individual ensembles. Canadian WPO, I like the consistency, the trend with the control lining up with the mean for the most part. EPO trend, I think, again, the WPO going negative tells me that this is, well, we'll see the trend more negative with the control and the mean here in the Canadian. PNA stays, the control stays solidly positive, which is, I like. The mean does trend down towards neutral towards the end of the run, and that goes out to November 15th. So what do we got with the AO? The AO on the Canadian ensemble is currently positive, as is the NAO. So let's look at the GFS ensembles here. I like the WPO trend is there. Nice negative run. GFS ensemble EPO is trending a little more negative than what other models that we've seen here are. So I like that. I mean, considering this, it seems like the GFS ensemble is the EPO is feeling the influence of that negative WPO run, and it's starting to trend more negative with its EPO. Here's the PNA, positive to basically a neutral PNA through the end of the run. Slightly positive to trending neutral AO. In the midterm here, NAO slightly positive again to trend to a neutral state at the end by November 15th. But you see the 15th here on the GFS ensemble. Here we got the mean NAO trending neutral, so I like that with the GFS. What's next? European, like the negative trend of the WPO, fairly negative. Control does bump slightly positive. EPO, again, EPO seems to, I mean, with the European and the GFS ensembles, it seems to be understanding that, hey, the WPO drives me or is a big influencer on me. So I think we're just going to see that trend more negative. The PNA, positive, good consensus between the control and the mean. Neutral, mean run here towards the end of the run, and the control dipping negative. I'm not sure I believe that, but the AO positive with looks like a hint of a run towards neutral. NAO slightly positive to neutral at the end of the run. Look at the GFS operational. Here we go, and then near term here. Here we have this is our current storm period. Here we go. We got a dip here, starting around November 2nd and trending negative. I mean, they're pushing -3 standard deviations below around the 6th, or around the 9th of November, which has some correlation to some storm signals. WPO also, again, the WPO drives the EPO with the GFS operational. The EPO is, we see again, here's the WPO trend. EPO trend is more negative, I think. Where this is right now in comparison to where the trend of the WPO is, I think we're going to see this flatten out in that -2 standard deviations below normal. So that's a WPO and EPO. Here's the PNA, positive, which is good. And here's the AO, and then slightly negative to slightly neutral, to slightly positive, and then a dip back down towards neutral. I think we'll see more cold air because of this, the WPO driving the EPO. That's going to allow more cold air to be available. Then that's going to cause the AO to trend more negative. NAO basically neutral, and I think that's not terrible to see on the GFS operational, because even if we have area negative over Greenland, that positive over the North Atlantic is going to support work in. So it's going to work in conjunction with that negative over Greenland, or that neutral condition over Greenland, and it's going to work just like a Greenland block 50-50 low combination. Even though it's reversed, we're going to have the positive where the 50-50 would normally be, and then the negative where we would have the positive be over Greenland. All right, that's the GFS operational. Here's the European. WPO negative trend again. Same thing here. I think, again, this negative trend in the WPO in the near term here is going to pull the EPO more negative. PNA, here we go, nice positive run to dip into neutral around the 9th. The AO weak negative to fairly positive, which I don't like seeing. NAO neutral to slightly positive, I mean like -1, I mean +1 above. But like I said, the WPO negative run, that WPO drives the EPO. I think we'll see that, like I said, with the GFS operational, we'll see this trend more negative in the EPO. And then I think the PNA will also trend positive. And then because of the WPO influence on the EPO and the EPO going more negative, which I believe it will, the AO, the EPO is the cold air, the AO is the door, and the EPO goes negative, and it's going to knock on the AO, and the AO is going to open up its door, and the AO is just going to tank. And then, I mean, we'll have what we have with the Greenland North Atlantic combination, whether we get a positive over Greenland to get that traditional blocking, or whether we get that positive over the North Atlantic, where we would normally see a 50-50 low, and a negative over Greenland, where we would normally want to see a positive. So that's the teleconnection summary, 22 plus N. So let me know what you think.